Hello! In this lesson you will see how you can monetize your videos with the help of LaterPay connector. In order to illustrate how to do this, we are going to use this test website which you can see now on your screens. And this is a website that contains some text and a video, as you can see now. Now this video is freely available. If I would play it, you will see it's freely accessible. And the purpose of what we're going to show you here is to block this video from viewing and to display a purchase overlay over it so that the customer actually needs to pay for watching this video. So at the end of this video you will see something like this. So a video which cannot be played unless a single purchase is made. Now of course, in LaterPay connector there are many different ways how we can achieve this. This lesson is going to show you how to do it in the most time-effective way. So after you have signed up for a LaterPay account, you will be given access to our merchant account dashboard here. Merchant account dashboard is sort of a backend which you can use to define your monetization strategy. And as you can see on the left here, there are multiple options that you can use. We're just going to cover 3 of them for the time being that you will need for this initial lesson. The first one is the analytics dashboard, which you can see here. And the analytics dashboard is used to analyze the payments that have been effectuated in the past. So once you have your website up and running, here what will be displayed is some data on what your users are buying. As you can see now here, there's some data already, and this is because I am using this website that I've showed you before as a sandbox for regular development, and I have tested some of the functionality, some of the monetization strategies that I've been implementing, so you can see some purchases that are effectuated here already. Now this is basically, this should also give you an idea how this looks like, and later at the end of this lesson we are going to be doing a purchase on the defined video, and then you will see how this comes into play here on the analytics dashboard as well. So that's the first section that I wanted to show you. The second section that I want to show you is the account configuration itself. Account configuration, or account management as it's called, it defines basic metadata for your account. Now, among other things like first name and last name, there is also a very important aspect here, which is the website URL. And this is a way of telling our connector that this is the website on which we will be deploying our configuration, so that the backend knows where to target the purchase overlays. So as you can see here, what is defined is this website here. And if we go back to the test website, you see that the URL is the same. So in a way, this is just defining that this is the base URL on which we'll be deploying our purchase options. That's it. It's also something that you will be defining during the sign-up process, so this is something which will appear here, and of course later on you might as well add additional websites. This is something that we might cover in one of our next lessons. The important part here, the important section, is the connector section. Now the connector section is important because here you will be defining your purchasing options and you will basically be embodying your monetization strategy. Now as you can see again on the left, there are multiple options to do so. There are single purchases, there are time passes which you can define, and finally there are also subscriptions. Now, all of this can be implemented on your website, so it depends on you whether you would be offering single purchase articles, whether you might be offering a subscription for your whole or a part of your website. That's something that also we will be covering in the next lessons. In this one, we will look at single purchases. So effectively at the end, as I showed you at the beginning of this video, we want to have this. So we want to have the possibility of buying a single video for €2 as it's defined here. So why wouldn't we just jump into the thing? So let's just click on single purchases here. Let's click on plus to define a new one. What you're prompted with here is firstly the title. As a title you can put just anything here because this is internally, this is used internally to identify to differentiate between different single purchases. So let's just call it video single purchase. And secondly, we have match type, and there are two options, exact path and article ID. Article ID is something we will touch upon in the next lessons, and the article ID is useful if you want to bind multiple articles into a single purchase, and if these articles are perhaps either generated or there is a vast number of them, or it's spread across the website and so on. Again, this is something we'll cover in the next lessons. Let's just focus on the exact path here. Now, what does this mean at all? So the exact path is actually targeting the URL where this video is contained. So let's just go shortly back to the video, and you can recall a couple of minutes ago me mentioning the URL in the context of the base URL, which is defined in our account. Now, our backend already knows, okay, we will be deploying something that we want to monetize on this base URL, which is this one here. Now, we just have to tell our backend that we want to deploy a single purchase on this exact website within this URL, or that is within this domain. So let us copy this thing here. Don't forget the initial slash here. And let's go back to the connector dashboard. And in the exact path, in this text box here, let us just paste this sub URL, or that is this locator which points exactly to our website here. Okay, so now our backend knows we will be deploying something on here. Let's now specify the price that we want to define for this video. So as we mentioned before, let's just say 2 euros. And again, this price is entered as a number of cents. Just mind this info box here. So this might you might want to define it as 200 instead of just 2, because this will mean that you define that you'll be selling your video for 2 cents. You can define whether you want to have it paid later or pay now. Pay now is just a classic, what you might be familiar with in micropayments. So basically the user will be paying for the video immediately, and they will have to input their credit card details and so on before they consume the content. Pay later is a revolutionary concept offered by LaterPay, which you might be familiar with until now, and that is that the user will run their tab, just like in a bar, up until a limit of 5 euros, and then they will have to, once they reach this limit, they will have to actually pay for this content. So let's just set it for pay later now, also because testing is easier. Finally, there is a section called template, which is useful and needed when you're monetizing text template, because here you will be specifying which part of the text will be hidden and which part of the text will be revealed or used as a teaser before the purchase. With videos, we do not need this. With videos, actually, we are just hiding the video so we know exactly what we will be targeting here. So let's just click on save. And now we can see our single purchase has appeared here, video single purchase. Now going back to our website here, if we refresh it, the video is still there, so the purchase overlay has not appeared. The reason for this is that we need actually to, in a way, tell this website that it needs to, or to tell this video that it needs to, again, talk to the LaterPay connector. And for this, we need to load, firstly, the LaterPay connector on the web page so that it's present, because otherwise we would be able to define this single purchase for any website in the world. So we firstly need to load the LaterPay connector script on the web page, and secondly, we need to change a little bit how this video is played in order to make it more compatible with the LaterPay connector. Now, for this, we need to be editing the source code of this web page, and I'm just gonna. This might scare some of you, but don't worry. I'm gonna just shortly explain you how this is done. So this is how the source code of this website looks like. So you can see there is a title, and if we just go back shortly here, you see LaterPay video demo. There's a title here. Now there is a there's some navigation buttons above here, which we have seen. there's some text, and then finally there is also the video, which has some source where the video is actually stored. So what we need to do is, going to show you how this should look like at the end. So what we need to do is firstly to add a JW player script so that we can use JW player, which is compatible with LaterPay connector, so that we can use it here to reproduce our video. And secondly, we need to use our connector script here. We need to load our connector script on this website in order to enable it for this website, so to say. Everything else will stay the same. So as you can see here, there is no difference in the content. And then finally, we're coming to the video content here. Now in the video content, we have to use the JW player, which we have just loaded up here, in order to display the video itself. So you will see that the JW player will be loaded for video container, and video container is just a section here which has been marked with this ID. JW player is loaded for video connector, video container, and then we can set up this JW player. And then we set up some width, some height for this player. Now this is something that you can specify however you want for your website. We specify the file source, which if we just go back shortly to our previous implementation, you can see is the same like here. So we're not doing anything to the file. We don't need to change the file. We're loading the same file. Finally, we're coming to the LaterPay connector, where we can define the article ID, which I have mentioned earlier, and we'll come back to it. For now, it can be specified, but it's not mandatory here. And we specify the video and the mode, how this video is going to be sold. We can specify some additional attributes here, which will come back in some of the next lessons. Now, for the time being, this is sort of a minimum setup that we need in order to deploy the LaterPay connector on this video. So now if we go back to our video here, we can see that the purchase overlay has appeared. So mission accomplished. We can't play the video anymore. It is behind the paywall. So that's exactly what we wanted to have here as a result for this video. So the last thing I'm going to show you for this lesson is going to be how does it look like in the analytics dashboard when you purchase a video. So I'm just going to click on Buy Now, Pay Later here. And as mentioned before, we won't have to effectuate a payment now, but just a purchase, which is going to rack our bill up to €2. So let's just click on Buy Now, Pay Later here. And that's it. It's as simple as that. So a user now has kind of a, say, debt of €2 on their tab. And this will be charged to them once they have passed a threshold of €5. But for the time being, they can actually view this video again because they have just purchased it. Let's just stop this video. And if we go back to our connector dashboard here, and more precisely to the analytics dashboard, and if we look at data for today, which is 11th of April, if we just look at this today, we're going to see that paid and unpaid total is €2. Paid is €0 because, again, I haven't paid for this purchase, but I have put it on my tab. So that's going to be in the unpaid tab here. We can see the trend development on the for today's date. So this was done in the morning. And finally, you can see the sales overview here that LaterPay video demo has been sold once for a total of €2. So that's it. That's how simple it is to monetize your videos using the LaterPay connector.